Hey, everybody, welcome back to the SuperBake podcast. I'm your host, SuperBake. Let's talk about stuff. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. So, I have to get this out of the way. I wanted to give just my initial thoughts on the movie Sinners with Michael B. Jordan, even though it came out like over a month ago. I think it released on the 18th of April. I just now got the chance to see it a couple days ago in theaters, and damn, this movie rules. I'm not even really a big vampire movie guy, but yeah, this movie won me over big time. Just going to talk about it very briefly. This isn't going to be like a full fledged review for the movie. I just want to give my overall thoughts on it. Like, there's been plenty of other reviews about it. I needed to gush about it for a little bit because it really is that good. Michael B. Jordan is phenomenal in the film. He plays two different characters in the movie, which I didn't even know about going into it. Other than the fact that it was a vampire movie, I really didn't know a whole lot about it. But he is fantastic. Haley Steinfeld is awesome in the movie. It was way more, there was a lot more music in the film than I was really expecting. I really didn't do any research going into the film. Like, I went into it basically blind, so I didn't really know much about it. But yeah, just very briefly, just to kind of give the plot. Basically, Michael B. Jordan plays two twin brothers, Smoke and Stack, who used to be like in the mafia, and they come back to the South in Mississippi, and they use some of their money to basically put up like a kind of like a bar. They buy like this old building, and they want to do like a party and put on music and everything. And then during the party, a bunch of vampires basically show up, and basically just wreak havoc everywhere. And what's interesting about the movie is like if you were just watching it and you didn't know anything about it, it almost kind of seems like a period piece because it takes place during 1932, and it almost kind of seems like it's more about like a musical biopic because like their cousin, he wants to be a blues musician, and that's a big part of the plot. And so like the two brothers are trying to help him do that by kind of putting on this show, and they want to give him a chance to play his music. And like that's like the first roughly third or even half of the movie, and then the vampires just kind of show up, and then shit really hits the fan, but it's all really good. Like the music they play in the bar, like that transition music where they play like music from different genres and different time periods, the way the cinematography of that and the way they choreograph it was really cool. That was an awesome scene. And then even the vampires, like when they're doing kind of like, I guess, Irish songs, when they're singing, like, in the middle of the night out there, and there's, like, the thunderstorm rolling in the background, like, the way they do it is, like, it's so cool, like, it's really well done. Like, I was not expecting it to have such a big musical presence like it did. That really caught me off guard, but it's all done very well. And Michael B. Jordan, like, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, he is very quickly becoming one of my favorite actors in Hollywood. Like, The Wire, Killmonger in the Black Panther movie, the Creed films, and now this, like, man, the dude's awesome. Also, apparently, I guess he's a big time anime fan. I think he said in an interview like he's a big Dragon Ball Z fan, and I think he likes other anime series too, which just makes me like the guy even more. Like Michael B. Jordan just fucking rules. And then Haley Steinfeld, man, she's come a long way since True Grit. And then she's, in the animated Spider-Man films, the Spider-Verse movies. She's great in those. Like she is phenomenal in this movie as well. Just the way I don't want to give away too much of her character in this, but like just the way she can go from being kind of like this innocent, goody shoot two shoes type character to being like genuinely menacing. Like if you've seen the trailer, then you kind of know what I'm talking about. Like she does a great job with her role in this one, and even the villain who plays the guy who plays the main villain in the movie is really good too. Like he's very off-putting in the film. Even when he shows up, you get like the impression that like this guy is bad news. Like when he's being chased by the Native Americans, like when they chase him to that couple's house, and they're just kind of like, "Yeah, we need to kill that guy. That guy's bad news." And then the couple don't want to believe them because they're prejudiced because of the time period. And like, and it turns out, yeah, you should have listened to him because that guy he's a fucking vampire. Turns out, but yeah, like I'm not going to go too much more into detail about it just because I really recommend checking it out. I saw it in theaters. I think they were really re-releasing it back into IMAX because of how well received it's been. It had a budget of like $90 million, and I think as of right now, as of this recording, I think it's grossed like something like roughly nine or $390 million. So I'm glad to see that at least right now it seems to be a financial success. This is the kind of movie that I really want to see coming out of Hollywood more. And again, like I said, I'm not a big vampire movie guy, but this definitely won me over. It's just very well written, exceptionally well acted, and has a great soundtrack. So this definitely gets high recommendations from me. Check it out. You will not be disappointed. And with that, I'm going to get into just some of my topics for tonight. So I'm going to give my review for the sixth episode of The Last of Us, episode or season two, and then I'm also going to give my thoughts on the video game Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Playing it on the PS5. It just came out, I can't remember, a few weeks ago, I think. I know it has Charlie Cox from Daredevil. He plays one of the main characters in the game. And then it also has Ben Starr in it as well. And I didn't really know a lot about it. I'd kind of followed it a little bit on like IGN and other gaming sites, but I really didn't know a whole lot about it going into it. This isn't going to be a full-fledged review because I haven't finished the game. I just want to give my general initial thoughts on the game. So I'll go ahead and do that now, and then I'll get into my review for The Last of Us. So Clair Obscur is it's a very interesting game, but I fucking love it. Like it's very weird. It's weird. Like I've never seen anything quite like it before. Like the look of the game, it has kind of like this realistic look, and I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. Like but it's really cool looking. It has like it's kind of has like this French almost like steampunk era look to it. I love the characters in the game, the way they look, just like their design is really interesting. It's very unique looking. But like the combat kind of makes me think of like a cross between, and this is going to sound really weird, but almost like a cross between Persona and a little bit of Souls-like sprinkled in. Persona because you have like the way the UI is set up, like when you choose different like actions, like different attacks and things like that. The way the menu shows up, it just makes me think of Persona. It has like its own very unique style and flavor to it, like those games do. But then also like in combat, you can dodge enemy attacks. You can also parry as well. And like when you parry, you don't take any damage and you actually can cause damage to the enemy. So in that sense, like that's why it makes me think of like Souls-like games because every enemy is different. Every encounter is a little bit different. All the enemies have different attack patterns, different combos, different speeds at which they attack you, and you have to get a feel for how they attack you, and that includes bosses as well. If you can time it right, you can basically go an entire fight, including boss fights, without taking damage. Like if you are successful at either parrying or dodging, you can basically go the entire fight and not get hit once, which is a really cool mechanic. But it's tricky though, because some of the boss fights, like they have multiple combos and sometimes the speed of the combos changes and you just have to really pay attention to when they're attacking you. And it all plays really well. Like the combat is some of the best that I have seen. Like this game is phenomenal. Like the combat is awesome. The look of the game is great. And also like I think I read like it was only something like 30 some odd people worked on it or something like that. It was a very small group of people. So man, this is like if I'm a AAA gaming studio, I'd be fucking nervous looking at this game because this to me is like this is what games should be. Like I don't know what the budget for this title was. I don't think it was a whole lot. I wouldn't imagine, but they've managed to do a lot with this game. Like I'm about a couple hours into act 2 in the game, so I'm not going to spoil anything. I don't want to talk about the story quite yet just because I want to wait until I experience the entire game before I talk about it. I'll probably give like an actual official review for it once I'm finished. So this is just kind of my initial thoughts based on playing through the prologue and the first act of the game. So I'm roughly about 10 to 15 hours in, something like that. I've done a little bit of side content, but yes, this game is phenomenal. I keep seeing people hyping it up, saying that it's one of the best RPGs to come out in recent years, and I would definitely agree with that. And I really don't want to build this game up too much. I don't want to try to oversell it and make it seem like it's better than it is, but my God, this game is so fucking good. But it's so different from anything I've played before, which is kind of like what I've thought about the Persona series as well. But yeah, like that the Persona series and Souls-like games are like the closest things I can think of for describing this game. And oh my god, the musical score, it's like, because it has like it's French. I think a lot of the names in the game are French. I don't know if the studio that developed it was French or not. I'm not really 100% sure on that. I'd have to do more research when I give my official review for it. But the soundtrack, it's like, almost like French opera with, like, piano and, like it's so gorgeous, like, especially, like, the prologue when you're first playing, like, the opening hour or 2 of the game. The music they play in the background is so beautiful. It is seriously, like, one of the best musical scores I've heard in a video game in a very long time, and I mean that wholeheartedly. So, I mean, just if the rest of the game is anywhere near as good as like the first act has been for me so far, then there is no doubt in my mind that this is probably going to go down as like one of the best games to come out in probably the last 5 to 10 years. And if this doesn't win Game of the Year for 2025, I cannot imagine a situation where this isn't a serious contender. This game is phenomenal. Like last year, my Game of the Year was Metaphor ReFantasio, and this game definitely feels in that same vein. Like it's definitely scratching that itch that Metaphor left behind. I need to go back and replay that game because that game was so awesome. But yeah, this game definitely it feels like it's in that same vein, but I think again, based on how long it took me to get through the first act of the game, it doesn't seem like it's gonna be an overly long game, which honestly, I'm kind of okay with. I haven't checked, like, what the length of the game is, so I don't know for sure yet. But yeah, just my initial thoughts in this game is it is phenomenal, and it's like $50 on the PlayStation Store. I think that's what it's going for with most retailers, so just based on the first 10 to 15 hours, I definitely think, in my opinion, this has been worth it. I know it has New Game Plus, so I mean, barring some horrible unforeseen event, I'm sure I'll be going back and playing this game again just because it looks. This game is just so good. I really cannot sing its praises enough. It's definitely one of the best RPGs that I've played in a very long time. So, yeah, again, I'll wait until I play the entire game and give my official thoughts on it, like my actual official review for it. Like, I definitely want to review this game. Like, I want to review more games, and I think this is definitely one that deserves it for sure. I kind of regret not giving like a full review for Metaphor ReFantasio, but yeah, I'll have to do that for this one. This game is just so fucking good. Okay, and now we'll get to the meat and potatoes of this podcast, talking about the sixth episode in The Last of Us Season 2, episode titled The Price. This episode was actually a big flashback episode, which I was very surprised by. The way episode 5 ended was when Ellie took out Nora, we see she wakes up in her bed in Joel's house, and Joel shows up and he's talking to her. So obviously, I knew from that that this was going to be a flashback episode. And basically, other than the last 5 seconds of the episode, it's basically one big flashback. And what's interesting is normally I'm not a big fan of flashback episodes in shows, but I really think this one nailed it. To me, this gave me what I would always want from a flashback episode. It informs me more about the characters, their motivations, why they do what they do, the decisions that they make, and I think this episode did a great job with that. In my personal opinion, The Price is in my personal opinion, it's the best episode of the season thus far. I think I said before that season 4 was my or episode 4 was my favorite. This one I think has overtaken that. And the fact that it's a flashback episode should tell you a lot. But yeah, we basically get to see more about Joel and Ellie and the events leading up to their confrontation, like why Ellie was mad at Joel throughout the season, what she was upset with him over, as well as like the confrontation between Joel and Seth at the party in Jackson when Seth got angry at Ellie and Dina for making out. So basically, we get to see all the events leading up to it, as well as a lot of stuff that happens in the game. It feels very true to what happens in The Last of Us Part 2. And going back and watching this episode again, I remember getting flashbacks from the game. One thing I like about this is just how wholesome this episode is. Like, just the various moments between Joel and Ellie are just the way Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey play these moments is just so sweet. Like, I love Pedro Pascal in this episode. Like Michael B. Jordan, he is also becoming one of my favorite actors in Hollywood. He's just he seems like such a genuinely cool guy in real life, and he plays, I don't know, he brings this level of humanity to these roles that I really appreciate. Like, I still like Joel from the game. I still prefer that version of Joel, but I have to say, I think Pedro Pascal has won me over with his take on the character. There is this wholesomeness to his character, as well as this brokenness that he brings to it, that while I do think is still there in the games, I just think that Pascal brings his own unique flavor to it that I think does work in the show's favor. Like, I love when he's negotiating with Seth's character and he brings him the Legos so that he can get a birthday cake made for Ellie. And Seth actually screws up the spelling on the cake and it pisses Joel off. That's actually a pretty funny moment. Like, I also like how the show's given Seth kind of a bigger role throughout this season so far. Like, we've had a few episodes where we've kind of learned more about his character. Like, in this episode, it's revealed that he used to be a cop. Um, and also speaking of that, speaking of cops, the opening uh, scene of this episode to me was phenomenal. And not just because we got a Better Call Saul actor showing up. Tony Dalton, who played Lalo Salamanca from Better Call Saul, shows up in this, and he steals the scene playing Joel's father. We see Joel when he's a kid, so it's kind of a flashback within a flashback. Um, and we see that Joel is protecting Tommy because he buys marijuana, and Tommy's afraid that their dad's going to hit him because apparently it's implied that their father has a habit of physically abusing them, or well, physically disciplining them. I don't want to say abusing necessarily. And then their father is played by Tony Dalton, who is phenomenal in this scene. Man, please, Hollywood, give Tony Dalton more roles. This guy needs to be in more things. I need to see Tony Dalton and Pedro Pascal in the same scene together. That would just make my day. But he sits down, he talks to his son, he talks to Joel because he's seeing through Joel's bullshit. He knows that Joel's trying to protect Tommy. Joel's telling his father that he's the one that bought the marijuana, and his father's not having any of it. And he even gives him a beer and just sits down and talks to him like a human being. What I like about this scene too is that this went in a very different direction from what I thought it was going to do. I thought for sure we were going to see like young Joel get hit, but instead his father sits down and he talks to him and tells him about how his father treated him and how he got beaten and how he's trying to be better. And this was something that, at least as far as I'm aware, this was never in the game. This was something they added into the show just to kind of help give us a little bit more details on Joel as a character. And I think it works great. And just the way Tony Dalton delivers the line, like you can see the hurt on his face, like as his eyes start tearing up, talking about his past with his father. And then he gives Joel that line where he says, I'm doing a little bit better than my father did. And if you ever have kids of your own, I hope you'll be a little bit better than me. So the idea, and I think it kind of goes along with the theme of this episode, which I'll kind of get into more here in a little bit, but it's kind of change. Like to me, that's what I took as the theme of this episode is change and how change is slow. And the things that we do inform the next generation. Joel's father had a hard life as a kid, probably because his father had a hard life too. And so Joel's father took it out on him and Tommy a little bit, as he admits, but he says he never hit them that hard. But he's trying to be better than his father was. And now we see like how that's informed Joel. Joel at the beginning of the first season was a pretty hard man, but understandably so from the life that he had lived after the apocalypse with the cordyceps. But we see him softening up around Ellie and we see him becoming better as a result of it and treating her better than how he was treated. So it's like that gradual change that's generational. So I love that opening scene. To me, this added a lot to Joel's character. The fact that he's willing to protect people, he's willing to sacrifice himself for the betterment of others, and sometimes he's willing to make hard decisions too, as we've seen throughout the series. Flash forward, we see Joel taking Ellie for hers, or he takes Ellie for her 17th birthday to, or sorry, 16th birthday to a planetarium, which was also in the game. I remember that scene. And this was pretty much spot on how it was in the game. He gives her that fake space helmet, and well, it's a real space helmet, but she gets up into the rocket ship, gives her the tape recorder that actually plays like the launch sequence from NASA, which was really cool. I remember that scene from the game. It's pretty much played out beat for beat in the episode. That was a nice touch. They also, I think they added a little bit more to it when Ellie has the helmet on and she closes her eyes and she actually like you can see like the flames from the rocket like through the window because she's imagining it. I don't believe that was in the game. I think that was something that they added into the show. So that was a nice detail. I actually kind of like that. It kind of makes it feel a little bit more believable. So that was a nice sweet moment. Kind of shows how much Ellie and Joel have grown closer, how much more he's come to think of her as his surrogate daughter. We flash forward again, and then it's Ellie's 17th birthday. And this is when Joel catches Ellie with a girl. And it's actually the girl that Ellie was on patrol with in episode one, I believe. And she's also like giving Ellie a tattoo. And what I really like about this scene is that, granted, I'm not a father, I don't have kids, but just from what I've known of like girls that I know and stuff like that, like this definitely seems like your typical like father daughter relationship. Like even though they're not technically related, the way Joel berates Ellie for it, getting onto her and stuff like that, it definitely seems like a conversation a father would probably have with their daughter at some point. Just Joel finds out all this stuff about Ellie that he probably didn't want to know. That now she may be interested in girls. He doesn't quite know how to. He doesn't know how to take that. Because Joel's from a different time. He's from a different generation. So it's understandable that it would be something that he just wouldn't get. Uh, and then I don't know. It's really funny. And then like he sees the drawings of the moths on the wall, and so he kind of talks to Ellie about that quite a bit. Kind of asking her like what all the moths are for. Also, I really like the scene when Joel builds Ellie the guitar. Man, that's a lot of work. I don't even know how much work goes into building a guitar, but goddamn, that's got to be like a lot of fucking work, and he does it. Like, why doesn't he just start a business building instruments? Seems like he's really good with like working with wood and stuff like that. I don't know. Just kind of a side note about the episode. And also, we get another scene with Gail in this episode where Joel's talking to her about moths and asking her the significance of it, to which she tells him that it's death. The moth represents death, which I think is a line from, I think that's from Silence of the Lambs, if I'm not mistaken. But he seemed to think that it signifies change, but she tells him that's the butterfly. The moth signifies death. And so this kind of to me goes into part of the theme of this episode, which I kind of took it as two things: change and death. Joel is changing. He is willing to change just like his father was. His father made the hard decision to talk to Joel about his problems. He could have gone the shorter route, which would have been to just simply beat Joel, discipline him. But instead, he talked to him, which is more difficult. And now Joel is trying to do this with Ellie. He is trying to understand her instead of just getting angry at her and yelling at her like he thinks his father might have done. He is trying to at least understand where she's coming from. He is taking the more difficult approach with her. Even though it doesn't always work. Ellie still gets mad at him sometimes. So to me, that's the change theme in the episode. And then of course the moth theme, at least to me, the way I interpret it is maybe on some level Joel realizes that he's going to have to pay for what he did to the Fireflies at the end of season 1. He loves Ellie and he's willing to change for her, but he also knows that at some point there are probably going to be consequences for what he did. Not just in terms of like maybe somebody comes after him, but we always get the impression throughout this episode that he is terrified to talk to Ellie about it. He doesn't want to admit to her what he did because he doesn't know how she'll respond, because he does love her. He does care about her. We flash forward again, and we go to Ellie's 19th birthday. And we actually see her sitting in a room where she's actually practicing asking Joel questions about the Fireflies from season 1 and what really happened in the hospital, because it's we know for a fact that like Ellie doesn't believe Joel. Like, and she's asking, she's thinking about all these questions that really do make sense to think about. Like, hey, like if raiders showed up, how come they weren't able to stop them? And how come we were able to sneak in, or whatever? We were able to get there without being detected. Just doesn't make sense. So yeah, like the questions that she is proposing to ask Joel do make a lot of sense. And that actually was a pretty gripping moment, because even though I knew she wasn't talking to Joel, the idea that she was going to bring this up at some point on their next patrol really kind of made me think like, oh man, how is this going to play out? Um, and also I like how Joel does take her on patrol with him. Like we see throughout this entire episode, she keeps bugging him about letting her go on patrols, and he's trying to like kind of hold her back from that, but she finally gets the chance to do it. And we get this kind of sweet moment between these two characters where they get to bond a little bit more. And then we get a surprise cameo, which caught me off guard. We get to see Eugene, Gail's husband, that we heard spoken of in the first episode, and how Joel killed him. And he's played in this episode by Joe Pantoliano, who played Ralph Cifaretto from The Sopranos. I almost didn't recognize him at first. I'm not used to seeing that guy with a beard. But yeah, like as soon as he started talking, I knew immediately who he was. It's like, oh, it's Ralphie. Um, but yeah, and that was actually a good scene too. We got to see more of Eugene's character, which again, I don't think this was something that was in the game. I think this was something that they just added into the show just for that extra detail on his character and for Gail's character as well. And we get to see the circumstances surrounding that. The fact that like while on patrol, they find him and he got bit, and they know that he's basically dead. And this really shows, I think, the harsh nature of this world that they live in. Like Joel and Ellie know that he doesn't have much time, even though Ellie confirms with him that he's got more time than they might believe. Joel knows he's a goner. You can see it in Joel's face. Like Joel wants to kill him right then and there, but Ellie agrees to take Eugene back to see his wife Gail so he can at least say goodbye to her because that's what he wants. He wants to see her one last time before he goes. Like all three of them know that he's a dead man. And there's something just so morbid about that scene. Just the fact that he knows he's dead, he knows he doesn't have much time. And all he's really asking for is just this one chance to see his wife again before he goes. It's so sad. And just to see the look of defeat on his face, like just a broken man just asking for one last courtesy in life, and Joel not being willing to give it to him. Walks him out to a cliff overlooking this really great view, and just seeing the look of horror on Eugene's face as he realizes what's about to happen. He ain't going back home. Joel's not taking him there because, and it makes sense, even though there's a part of you that wants to hate Joel for it, it's just like, Joel, just give it to him. Let him have this one last comfort. On some level, you can kind of understand where he's coming from. Like, they don't know for sure how much time he has left, and they don't want to risk other people getting infected in case he changes on the way back to town or when they get there and then infects other people, or even Joel, for example. Ellie might be immune, but Joel isn't. So it's it's a very sad scene. And then just the look of betrayal on Ellie's face after Joel promised her that he wouldn't do it. Like as they're walking back, like Joel's trying to he's trying to comfort her and trying to give her, the explanation he's gonna give Gail and stuff like that, and just you can see the look on Ellie's face, like, she just looks so betrayed by what he said, and she even reveals later it's the same look on his face that he had when he lied to her about the fireflies. I think in this scene, I think this is what cemented it for Ellie. She knows Joel lied to her in that moment with the fireflies. This is horrible for her scene for both of those reasons, not just because she lied to her about he lied to her about Eugene, but because now she knows for sure something really bad happened in Seattle when she was there. And this all but cements it in her mind. And I think we see that look of horror on her face. So I think that that was a fantastic scene. And that to me, I think really shows that Bella Ramsey is a great actress. I do still think that she is miscast as Ellie. But I do think that she does a great job with these types of scenes. She is able to deliver those emotional moments very effectively. And I think this scene was a great example of that, as well as another scene coming up that I want to talk about here briefly. We do see, from Joel's perspective, we see his confrontation with Seth at the dance, which was nice. It was nice because before we saw that, we saw Ellie, we saw it from Ellie's perspective, just like from the game. Now we see it from Joel's perspective after the issues that he has had with Ellie. Because oh yeah, and I forgot to mention this before. When they get Eugene's body back to town, Ellie actually tells Gail the truth about what happened after Joel lies to her, which was a big moment for both of their characters. And then that kind of shows us like why Gail is so angry at Joel in that first episode when they're talking during their therapy session. So like she tells us about what he did, but now we actually get to see it. And I do think for the most part the episode does a good job of handling it pretty tastefully. But anyways, flash forward to the dance, and we see Joel's confrontation with Seth, even though it's fairly brief. But we get to see it from Joel's perspective, um, and we see like it definitely looks like Joel's world kind of seems to be crumbling around him. Like he's losing one of the few people in his life that he really cares about, besides his brother Tommy. And then the scene where he's sitting on the porch, we finally get to see Ellie confront him about what happened in Seattle with the Fireflies. And it is such a cathartic moment for both of these characters because I think we want to see we want to see these characters get along. We're rooting for them to really care about each other and to be there for each other. But there's just this thing in the past that's constantly between them, and it's what Joel did with the Fireflies. And even though Ellie in her heart probably knows what happened, she can't bring herself to say it because it's almost like if you say it, that makes it real. It's like that fear I think a lot of us can relate to, like where you know deep down in your heart something probably is true, but you don't want to acknowledge it because it almost feels like the acknowledgement makes it reality, even though the truth is you know it is reality. And Ellie finally confronts Joel about it and basically gives him that ultimatum, like if you lie to me again, I'll never trust you again. And that's it for us. And then Joel finally tells her the truth. And just the look on Pedro Pascal's face as he tears up explaining what happened to her and admitting that it was all bullshit, that there were no raiders, that he took her out of there because it was going to kill her. He and Bella Ramsey, I think, both nail this scene. The way she, you know, berates him for taking away what she thought was her destiny. She believed, and it's really tragic too, because she's basically a kid saying this to him. But she believed that she had to die there, that that was her time, that was her purpose. And it really is sad when you think about it to hear somebody so young saying that to someone who is essentially their parent. I imagine that probably broke Joel's heart even more just hearing her say that. Someone that he had come to love and protect and care about so much, willing to say like she was willing to give up her life for a very noble reason, admittedly. But still, I can't imagine what that would feel like for any parent, surrogate or otherwise. And they even added in an extra line in this scene where Joel actually admits that he loves Ellie, you know. And I love how he says it too. Like, it's I love you in ways that you'll probably never understand. And he even echoes what his father said to him. He said, whenever you have kids of your own, I hope you'll be a little bit better than me. Again, I love that. It's like that generational change. Like Joel is trying to be a little bit better than his father, who was trying to be a little bit better than the man before him. Joel's trying to instill a lot of that into Ellie. And he even admits in the scene that, he knows he'll pay the price, later, whether that's by people coming after him for revenge or Ellie no longer associating with him. But he tells her, like, he would, if given the chance, he would do it all over again. And what I like about this scene, too, is that without necessarily saying it out loud, Joel's character is essentially informing her that she has more purpose than to just simply die to find a cure for a disease. He is her world. He is basically her daughter in this scene, and this essentially confirms it. Joel loves Ellie. She is everything to him. She is his family, and he would do anything to protect her, even killing others, even knowing what he's doing in many ways is horrible and is potentially dooming the lives of millions of people. But it is ironically a very human thing that he does. He betrays humanity to do something that is very human. I think a lot of people can relate to the idea of not obviously not doing that specifically, but the idea of doing almost anything for people that you love, for family, for being willing to make that sacrifice for somebody that means that much to you. I think a lot of people can relate to that. And this moment I think painfully but beautifully illustrates that. So I think Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey nail this scene. I think it's one of the best scenes, not just in this episode, but in my personal opinion, in this season. And then after that, we finally go back to the present day, and it shows Ellie going back to the theater after killing Nora. So I guess this was supposed to be playing out in her mind, essentially, and it does kind of help inform us a little bit about why Ellie was a little bit more rougher with Nora in the last episode versus how she was in the game. Although I still think we probably should have seen more of the build up to it, like her taking out another character from Abby's group. But either way, I think this kind of helps inform that a little bit more. So, my overall thoughts for this episode, as I said before, this was my favorite episode of the season. I think this is the best episode of the season. I think this is one of the best episodes of the series, personally. I don't really have a lot of negative things to say about this episode. It's just that damn good. Tony Dalton, phenomenal. Steals the show as Joel's father. Love him. Lalo Salamanca is great. Man, no wonder Joel's such a tough son of a bitch. Lalo Salamanca was his father. Like, no wonder he's so tough, man. He's guys ready for anything. Yeah, that scene was fantastic. I love it. It was an extra detail they added in there. It wasn't necessary, but I'm so glad they did it. All the moments with Joel and Ellie in this episode are very wholesome, and it does make his death that much more tragic. When you go back to episode 2 and watch Joel's death again, it does make it more sad, which is how it felt in the game too. It's a much more tragic scenario now, knowing that Ellie finally confronted Joel about it, and she admits to him that, she's not sure if she can forgive him, but she's willing to try. And there's that sense of hope. It's grim hope, but there is at least that sense of hope that maybe their relationship can be rekindled, can be reconciled. And then it's just taken away from her by Abby. It's taken away from both of them. It's a very tragic moment because of that. And it's made more tragic by this episode. Um, and I like how this episode, for the most part, was pretty accurate portrayal of a father-daughter relationship. Joel and Ellie, despite not being related, the arguments that they have when Joel catches her with another girl, when he catches her getting a tattoo, when he's just trying to understand her, but he's very clearly out of his depth. One, because he lost his daughter, and Ellie's they're not related by blood, and Ellie is a very different person from who Joel's daughter was too. So he's and also being in the fucking zombie apocalypse doesn't help either. Like all that's still going on in the background. It's like it's just these two people trying to understand each other and trying to live under the same roof, and it to me, it definitely feels like a pretty accurate portrayal of like, a parent trying to understand their kids. I think they did a great job with that. And then, yeah, just finally another positive, just Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey, they have a lot to chew on in this episode. And I think they both do a phenomenal job with what they're given here. It's a slower episode, and it's a flashback. So it doesn't, it informs us more about the characters, but, we don't see anything as far as the present day goes. So it's not really driving that forward, but it still does a great job of giving us more background into these characters and the decisions they made up until this point and what's caused the tension between them. And I think it does it very effectively and beautifully. So, yeah, I mean, overall, I thought this was my personal favorite episode of the season. And especially since the last episode was kind of a low point for me. I wasn't particularly fond of it. I think this definitely gave the show a much needed rebound. So, yeah, great job on this one. I definitely enjoyed it thoroughly. All right, everyone. I think that's going to conclude tonight's episode. Once again, if you like what you heard, I am on Anchor, Spotify, and YouTube. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps the show out a lot, and I definitely appreciate it. And I appreciate all the support you all have given me. And I will catch you all next time. Take care, everyone.